Abstract art is either understood or it's not understood. Traditional painting interpretations require the viewer to identify a shape or form on a canvas to understand the message that the artist is conveying. Typically, these types of paintings have a focal point that the viewer's eyes are able to track towards. Impressionist painters move away from a photograph style and incorporate maybe new paint application techniques and styles. But there is still generally a recognition of image or form that the viewer is able to identify. Abstract painting, on the other hand, and particularly the style popularised by Pollock, lack the traditional concept of an identifiable form and almost always lack a focal point for the viewer. To view this art, the viewer needs to view the whole painting rather than just identifying the central form and accepting that the rest of the painting is there as a consequence and merely just to support the main subject. The abstract artist's message is not always clear, and this is by design. The viewer is challenged to interpret the painting and to look for a message as it applies to themselves. Rather than conveying a single message that the artist is trying to communicate with traditional form and subject paintings, abstract art is designed to convey an unlimited number of messages as interpreted by each viewer. The painting message can be tailored to each individual viewer, and this message is influenced by their own life history and circumstances. Where one viewer may see the effects of a warm inner glow, another viewer may find it dramatic or even disturbing, and both interpretations will be correct. Additionally, the message contained within the abstract art is no longer a static message, and the same viewer might interpret an abstract painting differently when they themselves move through different stages of life or are influenced by different underlying or surface emotions that may be present at the time of viewing. The action of creating abstract art is frequently accompanied by artist's physical movement or dance when creating the piece. This creating action introduces a new dimension to the artwork which is never seen by the viewer, but must have taken place for the work to exist in the first place. This is why abstract art is often referred to as action art. But this is often misinterpreted as the action seen on the canvas, rather than the action required to create the canvas. Abstract art is, although manifested in a two-dimensional piece of finished work, created in a three-dimensional space, where the artist is creating in the space above the canvas, and what is left is where the paint falls and sets. Unlike traditional form and subject art, abstract art does require an investment by the viewer. And there may be times when the viewer is unable or unwilling to make this investment. When this happens, the art, regardless if it's abstract or not, is viewed only as a collection of lines, shapes, and colours. This does not dilute the messages that can be drawn out from the artwork, but rather moves the artwork, if only temporarily, into a space of decoration, where the general colour theme is required to complement a piece of furniture or a building style. In this video, I'll show you one technique to develop an abstract style painting. I'm not an artist, so my artwork purpose is purely to demonstrate a technique using items that I already have in the workshop. I'm not trying to convey a particular message. However, if an interpretation does manifest itself when you view the piece, then that's great. You are more than welcome to share your thoughts in the comments. This canvas is actually the remnants of a packing crate side that had been sanded back and painted white. Initially, the imprecise frame was retained because it was already available, and I have a desire to use materials that are already in the workshop. However, it could also signify the struggles that an emerging artist faces when embarking on this creative career, and the requirements to use whatever materials are available. The paints that are being used are all water-based acrylic paints. They are either existing paints used from previously completed jobs or colours acquired from the mist tint section of my local paint supply store. Some of the paint is flat paint, while others may have a sheen or maybe even a gloss finish. I'm not segregating these paints from each other because as they are all water-based, they'll all be compatible with each other. I've not taken into account paint densities, as this is more a consideration when you're doing any flow painting. I expect that the final painted finish will be reasonably thick and will retain some raised texture. Thick acrylic paint may have a tendency to shrink and crack when it's drying if left unmolested. To counter this, I've added a little Floetrol to the painting medium. The finished product, as you will see, will be varnished to a gloss finish. The paint has been applied without the use of brushes. Instead, cups, syringes, sauce bottles are going to use to deliver the paint onto the canvas. You'll probably also see the use of paddle sticks and a palette knife being used to manipulate some of the paint. My gloved hand is going to be ideal for the colour transfer on the edge. Some of the paint layers will be allowed to dry before additional paint is applied, thereby creating artwork depth, whilst other layers will remain wet to allow blending to occur between the different paint colours. You may notice that I've used a relatively small colour palette. This palette has been chosen as it better complements the environment that the finished artwork will eventually hang in. From a practical point of view, water-based acrylic paints have a significantly shorter drying time than oil-based paints. This is even more noticeable when there's been a liberal amount of paint applied. Where an acrylic piece will be fully dry within a week, an oil-based equivalent may require 2, 3 or even more weeks before it can be safely and confidently handled. You will need to take this into account if you're creating a commissioned bespoke piece. Once dry, this piece is varnished to protect the surface and to minimise the occurrence of dirt and dust transfer. It, after all, needs to be a practical addition to the home environment, as well as being decorative. And here's the finished product hanging. This artwork has proven to be an enjoyable project, and clearly a way of adding colour, style and, dare I say it, a bit of culture to your living environment. You may want to step this up and start selling pieces. It may become a profitable exercise. This project is one of a number of painting projects that will be added to my channel. Thanks for staying until the end of the video. Please remember to like, share and subscribe. Comments are always welcome.